16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo, Genesis does.
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo, Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis does.
Get Joe Montana free, Pat Riley free, Buster Douglas free, Super Monaco GP free, or Collins free.
Genesis does.
What Nintendon't?
Buy a 16-bit Genesis system between now and October 31st and get an extra game.
Well, the first game I have here is Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, which was actually designed by Michael himself. The important thing was really trying to make his animation-like quality, cartoon-like quality in a video game, not small moving characters. Show you what we've been able to do, and really, first of all, it's a new genre of video game, dance video games, or a music video come to life. We put the quarter in and we start off here in the video game.
Does 16-bit give you more detail, faster motion, better music, all of the above?
And first of all, you have real digitized voices. Michael's here is trying to save these kids who've been kidnapped. Listen to one of the girls. There she says, Michael. It's an actual digitized voice in the game. Michael's moves. First of all, the characters are much, much bigger, much more highly detailed in terms of the types of things that you can go and do. Look at the backgrounds, very, very detailed.
And of course, you really do recognize the personality of it. If you didn't tell me who that was, I could recognize that's Michael Jackson.
It's not hard to tell that that's Michael. But all the fun things that you can go and do. One of the things that we've done in one of our commercials is really take Michael's videos and put Michael videos together with the game to show how realistic they are. Look at this guy here taunting Michael with the pool cue. You know he's bad and he's after him. You can't do that on an 8-bit system.
Alright, today's video, Genesis does what Nintendon't. Sega Genesis 16-bit. If you're around 30 or older, this is going to be a reminiscing video. If you're under the age of 30, history lesson, video game history lesson. If you're over the age of 30 and you don't know any of this, it's never too late to learn. Welcome aboard. I'm going to play some Michael Jackson's Moonwalker here. I'll upload the review in the next couple of days. This is one of the games featured in the Genesis Does What Nintendon't commercial. This is new technology right here. This was cutting edge in 1989. This was the future, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. So let's go ahead and play it. This is all memory. This is all my expansive video game knowledge that I somewhat memorized. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. This is off the top of my head, no Wikipedia. So that's what the comments are for. Feel free to chime in. So from 1985 to 1989, Nintendo owned 95% of the market. Pretty much the NES was the only video game console that people had. A lot of people who had a Sega Genesis when it was brand new, they don't even know Sega had a system before the Sega Genesis, a Sega Master System, which was made to compete with the NES, but only 5% of the population had it. So it was basically a very unknown system. Nintendo had a monopoly on the business, basically. So you have your first party games. I don't like killing animals in video games. I don't even like killing the zombie dogs in Resident Evil, but that little black cat will hand your ass to you in this game. They made the black cat the strongest enemy in this game, which is pretty cool. But yeah, first party games. First party games is like Zelda, Mario, you know, what the company makes on their own. Then you got third party games, that's games like Mega Man. Nintendo had a stranglehold on third-party companies. They could only make games for Nintendo, so Nintendo basically ruled the market. So when Sega was releasing the Genesis, it had quite the uphill battle to battle Nintendo. So to combat Nintendo with the Sega Genesis aggressive marketing campaign, they just bashed the hell out of Nintendo. Sega Genesis was twice as powerful. You got the arcade experience at home. Nintendo couldn't do this. Nintendo couldn't make games like this. This game has real music, lifelike animation. No way Nintendo could compete with Sega. So the commercial was Genesis does what Nintendon't. In my opinion, probably the greatest video game commercial of all time. Oh, I wanted to shoot it the other way. But yeah, probably the greatest commercial of all time, video game commercial of all time. And why I say that is because that commercial came out in 1989. Hold on one second here. The weather's heating up again. Is it getting hot where you guys live again? All right. So this commercial came out in 89, almost 30 years ago, 28 years ago. And people are still upset about it to this day. 28 years later, people are still mad about it. Go to a Genesis Does What Nintendon't commercial and look at the comments. Look for the video with the most comments and just read through the comments. We've got grown men with wives and kids, or one wife, hopefully not wives, but I guess wives are okay if you're Muslim or Mormon. But yeah, they got a wife, kids, and they go on the internet and they still talk about this commercial, and they're still mad about it 28 years later, still pissed off about Sega bashing on Nintendo. And, you know, like I said, from 85 to 89, Nintendo had the market to itself. So here comes some unknown company telling you your Nintendo sucks. That's like someone slapping your mother. That commercial wouldn't fly these days. Kids would need a safe space these days. If they saw a commercial like that, probably they would need therapy. So that wouldn't fly these days, you know. Could you imagine if they made a commercial like that these days, like Xbox does what Sony don't? Man, that would blow up on Twitter. The internet would explode. Like, how dare you? Like, people aren't equipped with that. Like, they can't handle that much. You know, they can't handle that anymore. You have to be nice these days. I mean, even back then, like I said, Sega came out with these commercials bashing Nintendo, and even back then people were still upset. Could you imagine how even more upset people would be if commercials like that were made these days? It would be insane. How did that commercial affect me? I had a Nintendo. I got mine in '89. Before I saw what the Sega Genesis was, though, I got mine like '89. Before I saw all the commercials, I was 6 years old. So I saw that commercial and it upset me. I'm not gonna lie, it upset me. I said, no, Nintendo's the best. Nothing's better than Nintendo. Then I saw Sega Genesis at Sears with Altered Beast playing, and I said to myself, this is better than Nintendo, but I was in denial. I didn't want to believe it. It like hurt my feelings how much better the Genesis looked than Nintendo. It was a lot better. I mean, in retrospect now, I like the Genesis more than the Nintendo, but the Nintendo is one of my favorite systems ever, with some of my favorite games ever. So, you know, the Nintendo is a great system. I like the regular NES more than the Super Nintendo, I think. It's a tough call. Off the top of my head, though, I want to say I like regular NES better. The more unadvanced Nintendo I like more than the advanced Nintendo. But anyway, going back to when I was 6 years old, I said the Sega Genesis is better. It looks better. It's a better system. Holy crap. And I don't have one, so I was in denial. I pretended I hated Sega. And how many kids like me pretended they didn't like the Sega because it was better? My mom wasn't going to buy me one. In 1989, the Sega Genesis was $189. Inflate that to today's money, what is that, $350? To all you economics people, what was $189 back in 1989? Was that $350 or so? Maybe $400 even? My mom wasn't buying me one. So since I wasn't going to have one, I'm going to pretend it sucks. But I remember my friend, he was around 11, 12, he was more mature, and he saw how much this was hurting me. So, you know, he was trying to convince me, Nintendo does what Gen don't. He like said some crap like that, and it actually made me feel better. He was like consoling me and shit. What a nice guy. Ben. I always wondered what happened to Ben. Ben, if you're watching this, man, I hope you're doing well, sir. You're a good man. You know, helping out a kid, telling a kid, like, I mean, you were a kid too, but you were an older kid. You're like more mature than me because, you know, you had a Nintendo like me, but you didn't let that commercial bother you. But anyway, like years later, I did get a Sega Genesis. I got mine in, I believe, 91, 92, when the price dropped to 120, I believe. That's when my mom got me one. When the price dropped to like 120, my parents actually got me one, and life was all good. But yeah, the Genesis does what Nintendon't video. It did bother me. I'm not gonna lie. It bothered me, and it bothered a lot of people, because like I said, to this day, you know, people are still upset over it. Let's watch the performance here. So yeah, what are your memories of Sega Genesis does what Nintendon't? I went ahead and played a clip at the beginning of this video. Do you think a commercial, if you're younger and you're watching this video, how do you think your peers would react to a video like that? I don't think it could be done. I think that would create too much outrage. Like, I think we live in such a PC society now that commercial would not fly now. Yep, Sega Genesis with its real music. I liked the Sega Genesis sound sheet. Oh, here you go. This made me laugh when I was a kid. The dog dance. I had a Doberman when I was younger, so like I said, I hate killing animals in video games. But you know, I unfortunately have to advance in the game. But the dogs dancing, like that always made me laugh. Alright everyone, that's a little reminiscing and a little history lesson. Sega Genesis does what Nintendon't. What are your memories of it? What do you think about it? What do you think about that? Would that fly in today's market? I don't think it would. Alright everyone, I'm gonna run from the dog. Moonwalk. Alright everyone, kick ass, be safe, take it easy, have a great weekend.